few words about Telugu Association of Jacksonville area. For those who do not know, TAJA, it's called TAJA, Telugu Association of Jacksonville area, is one of the largest regional Indian organizations of Jacksonville area. We represent approximately 350 registered member families and many guest families as well. So our primary mission is to promote Telugu culture and literature among Telugu-speaking families in Jacksonville area. We also conduct some humanitarian and educational activities throughout the year to help our members and youth. This is the first time TAJA is conducting a health seminar. So with no further delay, I would like to introduce the two ladies who not only conceived the idea but also developed the format, identified the speakers and topics, and worked very hard to put this together. Dr. Rama Reddy, she's the chair of our health seminar, is a nephrologist. She did her residency in Wayne State University and her fellowship from University of Florida, Gainesville. She runs her own private practice in Jacksonville. She's a mother of two lovely children. She also, besides her busy schedule, she also takes time to serve community and help members of Telugu Association of Jacksonville area. Please welcome Dr. Rama Reddy. I would also like to introduce our co-chair for health seminar, Dr. Haritha Sakuri. She's a transplant nephrologist. She graduated from University of Florida, Jacksonville. She also graduated nephrology fellowship from the same university. She was the primary transplant nephrologist for the program in UF, and she was also the assistant program director for the fellowship program. She currently works for a non-profit organization called DCI. Please welcome Dr. Haritha Sakuri.
Thank you, Vasavi and TAJA, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to organize this community seminar. The purpose of this event is to present information on health topics that matter most to you and your family. Our speakers here are experts in their fields. Many of them are involved in scientific research in addition to providing compassionate patient care. I would like to thank each one of our speakers who have taken time away from their busy schedules to serve on this health seminar. We are grateful for all your time and effort to share your knowledge with the community. I welcome and thank every one of you in the audience who have gathered here to hear from our experts. I would like to thank all the committee members of TAJA under the leadership of Vasavi who have come together and supported us all through to organize this event. I now request Haritha to introduce our speakers. Thank you.
Hello everyone. We really expected a lot of people. This is disappointing. Free health news, nobody wants. But these are the best speakers in town, and I'm very honored and grateful that they've all agreed. Most of them are on call, and some had other obligations, and in spite of that, they're all here. So I'm going to introduce the speakers, and I'm going to request them to come and sit here. And we're going to start off with each speaker. Me and Rama will alternate, introduce them, and after each of their presentation, we'll have a 5-minute question and answer session, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So first I'm going to introduce Dr. Anil George. He is my favorite and his patient's favorite. And I work with a lot of his patients in the office, and here's Dr. George. Come sit here. And next is Dr. Tracy. She's an assistant professor of psychology, and I have heard a lot about her, and I can't wait for her to talk and hear what she says. guest is Dr. Salil Patel. Salil is my favorite too, and he's on call today, and in spite of that, as soon as I said, he said yes, because he found a backup, who's my husband, who was supposed to go out of town, so he canceled to back Salil up. So thank you, Bharat, and thank you, Salil. Please come. And our next speaker is Dr. Bharat Mishra, and he's a very, very famous gastroenterologist, and I have heard a lot about him from his patients, and I'm excited to hear your talk too. Please come. And our next speaker is Dr. Archana Goel. I think everyone knows her in town. Every time I get a knee ache or back ache, I feel like I have to call her. You know, she'll have an answer for anything, and she is a Baptist rheumatologist, and I felt like for all Indians, knee pain is like, it goes without saying, and we have to have a rheumatologist on board to fix our issues. Dr. Goel. And finally, it's Dr. Hema Vankaila. I've heard a lot about her through Rama. I have not met her before, and today is the first day. And thank you so much. And she's a practicing oncologist. The first one.
Yeah.
Whoever is coming late, they're missing out. You guys let them know, your friends, if you see them.
Well, this may record it.
So the first speaker for today is Dr. Anil George. A few words about Dr. George. Dr. George graduated from Kolkata University, and he completed his residency at University of Florida Health Center here. And Dr. George has been practicing conventional primary care in Jacksonville for over 20 years. Recently, however, he has been integrating principles of functional medicine, which focuses on the root causes of illness to better serve his patients. Today, he'll be discussing the differences in the conventional approach versus the functional approach, and will illustrate how the two should be integrated to bridge the gaps in modern medicine.
Thank you so much again for that introduction and actually the invitation. So I wanted to ask you this question. How many of you all are familiar with the concept of functional medicine or integrative medicine? A show of hands.
Who doesn't know?
Now, how many of you all are familiar with this concept? All right, very good. So maybe 10%? So basically, what is integrative or functional medicine? So it always has to do with what we call the root cause, or analysis of what is the basic fundamental cause of, let's say, disruption or disease. That's where we come from when it comes to integrative or functional medicine. So in order to illustrate what integrative or functional medicine is, let me use kind of an example. For instance, heartburn. You know, we have a gastroenterologist here, and he might agree with me. The approach to, let's say, a patient having heartburn. So, if you were to go to a conventional medicine doctor with complaints of acid reflux or heartburn, he might do, let's say, a physical exam, in a history, may even do actually an EKG just to make sure there's nothing sinister, and might even do a referral to a gastroenterologist. But almost invariably, you're probably going to walk out of, the office with a prescription for an acid suppressant medication. I mean, that is almost 99% of the case, this is what's going to happen. So the question is, okay, well, you take this heartburn medication and you actually feel better. Your symptoms are suppressed and you think all is well. But the issue is, all along the way, during this process, no one seems to ask the question as to why. Why is it that the body chose to have symptoms of heartburn? Why is it that you developed these symptoms in the first place? And this kind of symptom suppression is across the board in medicine. You find that in blood pressure management, or cholesterol management, and so on and so forth. So we always need to ask the question, what is the disruption that is happening that's causing these symptoms? And then peel the layers, so to say, and get to the root cause. Because here's what happens. Let's say we give this patient, an acid suppressant, like Nexium for instance, and you take it across, let's say, months and years. And since you feel better, you think that you're doing yourself favors. But what is it that you're doing? See, now we realize that chronic use of acid suppressant medications actually leads to chronic kidney disease, osteoporosis, mineral deficiencies, as well as, let's say, you've heard of B12 deficiency. That is also been related to acid suppression. Increased incidence of SIBO and autoimmune diseases as a result of that. And even C. diff has been tied to use of Nexium. So this is to our peril. If we don't understand, let's say, what's the cause of basic ailments, and then try to suppress the symptoms, then results are not going to be so good. All right, so we can have the next slide, please. So the question is, I've been a conventional medicine practitioner for, as she said, for 20 years. So as I began to delve into this issue, and as I looked into the literature and the research, it was kind of self-evident to me that, while I'm seeing patients every 2 to 3 months, I'm managing their symptoms, it wasn't affecting the course. People are still coming back with ailments, and they seem to be not doing so well. And this is what really got me into a functional approach in my practice. So what I have identified is that there are certain fundamental key principles that we ought to consider in order to take care of us. And if these bedrock principles are taken care of, then the body is much better able to take care of itself. So we can have the next one. So this is what I mean by the ancestral approach. The ancestral approach wedded with the current scientific knowledge. And this has led me to what I consider these bedrock principles. So the next slide. And so these I consider to be basic and fundamental principles. So when patients come to me with symptoms, they want me to give them a pill or maybe a nutraceutical. And I always tell them, unless you take care of these bedrock principles, these foundational principles, then you cannot really supplement your way or medicate your way out of illness. You got to take care of these. And then, you can always add supplements and nutrients and such like to it. Okay? So, what are these basic foundational principles? First, diet and nutrition, and we'll take a deeper dive into that. Number 2, movement and exercise. Number 3, sleep. Number 4, I call it decreasing our toxic burden, and this is peculiar to our 21st century. And lastly, and probably just as important, stress management. So notice these 5 pillars. Every one of those pillars are the same. In other words, you can't ignore, let's say, stress management, take care of, let's say, your diet and nutrition and movement and all that, and then you ignore stress or you ignore sleep. Your body is going to tell you. You're going to have consequences as a result of it. So every one of these are just as important as the other. All right, so taking a deeper dive into diet and nutrition. So when I look at food, I choose, or I look at what I call the nutrient density of the food with an ancestral approach, okay? So our ancestors prized organ meats. Organ meats such as liver, heart, brain, etc. And you go to the grocery store these days, and liver is the cheapest cut of meat. You'll agree, isn't it? But liver happens to be chock full of nutrients, particularly B vitamins, B12, folic acid, as well as vitamin A and choline. And I want to kind of delve into this concept of what we call bioavailability when it comes to, let's say, liver. Now, if you were to Google what's the highest source of vitamin A, you're going to likely find that's either carrots or sweet potatoes. But see, vitamin A doesn't exist as vitamin A in vegetables. It exists as beta carotene. And then the body has to cleave, absorb, and then form retinol, which is vitamin A. But the problem is this, that not a lot of us are capable because of enzymatic issues within us, and more importantly, plants are not as good when it comes to bioavailability compared to animal sources of nutrients. So anyway, the important thing is organ meats, make that a priority 1 to 2 times a week if possible. Number 2, fish and shellfish. I don't think I put all these things in there, but fish and shellfish would be the next importance in terms of nutrients. It's not an accident that we have oysters known as aphrodisiacs, and the reason for that is it's mineral, zinc, and B12. The next is eggs, especially organic and cage-free. And I say cage-free because there's a distinct nutrient difference in their profiles when you look at, let's say, an Eggland's commercial egg versus an organic cage-free egg. There's a difference. And please don't ignore the yolk in the egg. That is the most nutrient-dense part of the egg. The next is meats.